Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Shorts. This episode was delayed, as mentioned in the last episode, because of Hurricane Elsa. Now it's sunny and humid as hell, and that's just how it is in the sandhills when a hurricane rolls through. It's the day after, and thankfully the Ted's garden suffered no damage. But enough of that. Today, we're going to talk about the subject before you and a few others like it. That's right, folks, we're talking about Capsicum species, or SP for short. Since there's more than one species being talked about, I have to put the SP in there. But, in conventional sense, we're talking about peppers. Now, before you, this amazing magical specimen here, which if we zoom in just a little bit right there, you can see the delightful peppers. This is Fayetteville Inferno, my own hybrid. This is a hot pepper that is bred partially from ghost peppers. And I thought I'd start with Big Mother, who, by the way, is 4 years old, and consequently has a beautiful volunteer growing in the bottom. That's a pansy. Noticing a trend here, folks? These things do happen. Well, anyway, peppers are in the Solanaceae family, which means they're related to tomatoes, ground cherries, potatoes, and so forth. The name is from Latin, capsca, meaning box, or Greek, capto, meaning to gulp. Not sure about that to gulp part, but okay. Well, no, I'm sure that's what it means, but I'm not sure how to gulp has anything to do with peppers. I digress. The word pepper itself is from the word piquance. I'm probably mispronouncing the heck out of that. But anyway, it's derived from that loosely, which came from the actual other type of pepper, black pepper, which is not actually related to pepper fruit. And yes, these peppers are in fact a fruit. Now these are native to the Americas. America! F yeah! Had to stick one in here somewhere. Anyway, they're native to the Americas, and according to the USDA, they are considered a tropical perennial. However, they may live up to 5 years, possibly longer. As Big Mother can attest, she is my single oldest pepper out here. She has survived winter after winter in the greenhouse and done really well for herself. And you can see she's a brick house. She's mighty mighty. She'll burn your mouth out. Anyway, the soil pH preferred is 6.5 to 7. The exposure is partial sun with a height of 3 to 6 feet, which this one is 3 feet, so that's believable. The average width is 1.5 to 2 feet, which also, based on this very mature specimen, this classy pepper, is also believable. Now, the 6 feet is based on really well-grown bell peppers in a farm setting, with fertilizer and special selections for size and productivity and all that stuff. On average, 3 feet is about the normal. Now, we're going to talk about different types. And to start that conversation, we're going to move the camera to this lovely specimen in front of you. The first type is Capsicum frutescens, of the famous of which is in front of you, Tabasco. Yeah, the one that makes the sauce. Now, that grouping ranges in the Scoville units from 30,000 to 175,000. Another one, let's see if we have one of those around here somewhere. Ah, we do. We're going to go all the way over here. Actually, technically, I don't know what that one is. But anyway, we have two different examples here in the garden. Now, we're going to start with habanero, which is down here. That falls under the chinense grouping, which includes fatales, habaneros, ghosts, Scotch bonnets, Trinidad scorpions, 7-pot chili, 7-pot cultivar Carolina Reaper, and that it can have a heat range of 0 to 2.2 million Scoville units. Oh yeah, that's your face melter for you. Now, over here, feet over, this and that all fall in the Capsicum annuum group, which has a Scoville range of 0 to 140,000 Scoville units. Now, the annuum group includes bell peppers, pimento, red chili peppers, paprika peppers, Anaheim, banana, bird's eye, black Hungarian, red cayenne, or traditional cayenne peppers, chiltepin, cubanelle, fish peppers, peperoncini, Hungarian wax, Medusa, red Peter, that's a Petus, Mirasol, Numex, Padron, Poblano/Ancho, and yes, I list both names because one's dried, one's fresh, Serrano, and Shishido. Better not do that in my garden. Well, anyway, that's the largest group that we know about. Those are the ones you usually buy at the store. But it gets more interesting. Because, and I know I have one around here somewhere, it's hiding from me. Stealthy like. Ah, yes. It's over here. I admit, this little one is not much of a specimen, but give it time, just like Big Mother. They take time. They're a grower, not a shower. This one is in the... What is it? Actually, I take that back. It's not in that group. Whoops. But anyway, in prior sales, that's actually a wicked ghost pepper, which will put it in the Chinense grouping. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention, also includes Aji Dulce. But anyway, another grouping to consider is the Bacatum group, which includes Aji Amarillo, Lemon Drop, and Bishop's Crown. In past years, I have sold the Aji Amarillo and the Lemon Drop, so I can attest to the fact that they generally are used as a flavoring pepper. Now, the heat range on those is 1,000 to 50,000 Scoville units. Over here, zoom in a little bit. See this pepper here. Well, that's not exactly the right angle. There we go. Those actually are a derivative of Bishop's Crown. That is Mad Hatter, falling somewhat in the Bacatum group. Now, I don't have an example of Capsicum pubescens, meaning fuzzy, which means some part of the plant is fuzzy. And there are only two real entries into this group, and that's Rocado and Canario. But they are 30,000 Scoville units to 100,000 Scoville units, so that's a blend. And while we're at it, let's talk about a pepper that is exceptionally unusual. This is a Beniquano pepper, or little beak. I don't know what group it belongs to as of the time I filmed this. I forgot to look it up. However, it's worth mentioning because of the unique shape of the seeds that look like little beaks, like birds' heads. Now, while we're here, let's move into the meat of the conversation. Yeah. So, the ideal temperature for peppers is between 70 and 84 degrees Fahrenheit for production. That's 21 to 29 degrees Celsius for all you folks using European units. Even though technically we've been using metric for years in the United States. Let's not get into that, shall we? Anyway, they prefer moist but not waterlogged soil, which is true. They do not like wet feet at all. They will tolerate low temperatures of 54 degrees Fahrenheit or 12 degrees Celsius, but not over protracted periods, and even less so lower temperatures otherwise. The key to getting them to overwinter in an unheated greenhouse is to eliminate drafts and to trim off any branches that seem to be declining. Now, they are not a photoperiod sensitive crop, so the amount of light they get has nothing to do with the amount of fruit they produce or when they produce it. As you can see, they're producing, and this one's getting zapped, but it doesn't seem to care. It's just gone off like gangbusters. They do not need an insect pollinator because they, like tomatoes, are wind pollinated, and, shuffling the plant around every so often will shake off some fruit. or rather, will shake around the pollen. Now, there's an unfortunate side to that advantage. Their pollen loses its viability at between 91 degrees and 100 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. That's 33 to 38 degrees Celsius, which is interesting, which explains why they stop producing at a certain point in the super hot summer, and actually possibly why tomatoes do it too. I mean, they're related, so why not? Peppers, botanically, are considered a fruit because they are actually berries. Now, the key detail about being a berry is that a berry is defined as a fruit that matures from a single ovary where the outer ovary wall, called the pericarp, develops into a fleshy, edible area. Examples of fruits include grapes, tomatoes, wonderberry, peppers, eggplant, actually cucumbers, and believe it or not, pumpkins and watermelons, although they're classed as peepos, which is a fun word to say. Look out for peepo! But anyway, they're actually considered giant berries. In fact, the melons pretty much are giant berries. I know, right? Mind blown. That's the weird stuff you find out. Now, here's another fact for you. The seeds in a berry are called pips, especially in the nightshade family. They're called pips, which makes that oldies band. I can't remember what it's called, but it's something in the pips. It's like, wait, so your seeds? Oh my! But anyway, a plant bearing berries is said to be baciferous or bacate. Now that could be baciferous or basate. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. But it's a word that comes from the name Bacchus, the Greek god of the grape harvest. Now here's where things in ancient Rome and Greece get really messed up, folks. So make sure you're sitting down for this. Bacchus is the god of the grape harvest, wine, fertility, orchards. Yeah, all these tough words I'm having here. Fruit, vegetation, insanity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy, festivity, and theater. Ancient Romans and Greeks be cray-cray. Insanity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy. I got nothing. I double-checked that one. I don't know. But anyway, folks, this is the world of peppers for you. There's more to it than that. Actually, I do want to point out one thing, actually, before I close this video. Sometimes, grown from seed, peppers take more than 1 year to really mature. The specimen in front of you is an excellent example. It took 2 years. I grew it from seed, starting the seed in late February of last year. I thought beanie quanos, or little big peppers, would be the big thing, and I had 2 different colors, red and yellow, and this is a yellow one. It's the only one that made it, actually. And this thing sat, and it sat, and it sat, and it sat, and it didn't do anything. I mean, it germinated eventually. It took like 21 days, but it didn't do anything that year. Now, gangbusters. So it's a keeper. It's going to come in for winter along with Big Mother, who hopefully will survive another winter. Now, in terms of fertilizer for peppers, I do have to close with this one detail, actually. A nutrient-rich soil is the best fertilizer you can give them. However, sometimes, like tomatoes, they need a little help, and that comes in the form of, I recommend Epsom salts, which I believe it is, most bags will carry a formulation, but it's something like a teaspoon or a tablespoon per foot of plant growth, and you're just going to have to estimate that. There's no precision to that. Or a tablespoon per gallon of water as a fertilizer, which is what I use in the winter to keep the roots doing stuff. Indoors, stored over the winter, they're going to need a light They're going to need a light kit, and they can't be allowed to dip below, I want to say, 35. It's a safe bet. And below that, they might start to suffer frost damage, or they might just up and just die. Also, expect volunteers, because inevitably you cannot control where all the fruit will go, and that's actually how I got those Tabascos, all 5 of them. As it turns out, they were volunteers. I thought they might be lemon drop. It turns out they're Tabasco, and I haven't grown Tabasco in like a year plus. So they're a hybrid Tabasco, so we're going to find out what they turn into. Peppers will freely hybridize. So the seed from this year, if it's within 10, 20 feet of another pepper of a different type, they may cross, and you may not know what you're going to get, which is actually how I got Fayetteville Inferno in the first place. Additionally, I want to dispel one myth. The idea of growing peppers next to each other, a hot one next to a sweet one or whatever, is not going to make the sweet one's fruit hot. The seeds and the genetic legacy will be different, but the actual peppers that year will not change. That is a myth. That is all in your head. There is no science to back it up. I wish people would stop saying that. And as a final thought, you can take cuttings of peppers to preserve genetic legacy, which is what I'm probably going to have to do with Big Mother. And that's more a matter of maintaining humidity. You're probably going to have to use a rooting hormone, and if you want to do that, you better start now, in the middle of summer when they're the most vigorous, and you can do the least amount of permanent damage. Beyond that, saving seed is easy. You get pepper that has matured past its ripe color. In the case of these beanie quanos, they ripen to yellow, so I want them to get to an orangey red color. I harvest them, I dry them, or I pick them up off the ground where they've fallen naturally, and some of them it looks like have. And you dry the peppers, and then you extract the seeds as soon as the flesh, or the pericarp as I said before, is kind of dry and crusty. The seeds can be dried on a napkin. I like to recycle the little plastic trays that mushrooms come in so that I can dry the seeds and label the trays. And that's actually how I save seed for peppers. It's really easy. It means you're going to lose one fruit to it maturing, and you want to get that fruit if you want to mature it on the plant. You want to get it off as soon as it turns that funny color that indicates it's going to start to decay. And there is one other thing. This is the last thing, I swear. Peppers can suffer blossom end rot just as much as peppers. They're less likely to get it, but they can have it. If you notice the bottom half of your pepper has gone soggy for no good reason, it's not sitting in a puddle of water or anything like that, and it hasn't been overwatered, I guess the birds think I'm talking too much. Well, anyway, what you do is you crush up a regular strength antacid tablet, preferably some knockoff brand from the store that doesn't matter. You use that, you crush it up in a cup of warm water, and you pour that around the base of the plant. As I've said before, lime bought from the store is great. Hydrated lime, 30 days. Dolomitic lime, 60 days. Agricultural lime, 90 days. The crushed up Tums tablet, or antacid tablet, you don't want a sponsorship here. The crushed up antacid tablet dissolves in the water and becomes soluble and available to the plant immediately, so it sucks it up, and bam, problem solved. You don't need that spray from the store, you don't need any fancy cures you bought made for TV. That's how you solve that. It's cheap. You can buy hundreds of tablets for like $5 or less. I mean, win-win for everybody. Except Big Agro, who gets really pissed when I tell stories like this. But I do it in my garden. In fact, my certain tomatoes tend to get blossom end rot more in the southeast than others. Yeah, I'm looking at you, paste tomatoes. And some of my peppers will get them, especially bell peppers. So that's how you fix that. It stops it dead in its tracks, and what's left of the healthy fruit matures normally. So, that's all I have for you in this Peppers Mega episode. If you want some beak pepper action, make sure to hit that like or subscribe button, and if you have any questions about peppers, or you think I missed anything, or you have some information to share, go ahead and put it in there. Tell us all about it. As always, folks, keep them growing, and thanks for watching.